Hello, and welcome back to Battle Plan, the podcast focused on spiritual warfare. I'm Steve Hemphill. I want to invite you to visit our website at active-faith.org and email me with any spiritual warfare questions you might have. That's stevehemphill1 at me.com. Last time, we talked about staking a city and the fantastic results we got, like, for example, the reduction in crime. 45% reduction in 18 months. Amazing stuff. Today, I want to share a very personal, true story of my trip through the valley of the shadow of death. And I'll call this episode Angels to the Rescue, a COVID recovery story. I want to tell you that I walked through the valley of the shadow of the death recently. Not death itself, but the shadow of it. So here we go. And let me preface this by saying, I believe Satan did not want this podcast to exist. I believe he did not want me teaching and helping and encouraging in the subject of spiritual warfare. As long as people think he's not real, or that Satan is just a symbol for evil, not a real being who's out to get you and wants to hurt you and hurt God in the process, he's won a big battle by just convincing most of us he doesn't work in the world today directly like he did in the first century. This podcast was supposed to start in January. I got COVID just a few days before we were scheduled to begin this last January. I got COVID. My mom also got it, and she died the next month. I'm going to talk more about that in the next podcast, singing Mimi to heaven. I'm a diabetic on insulin for 45 years. This sort of makes me more susceptible to some of the diseases and pandemic stuff that goes around. I want you to know I've never been so sick. I lost 17 pounds in 17 days, and I'm not a very big guy in the beginning. So finally, it was obvious I wasn't getting any better. I was at the point I was showing my wife how to do the online banking because she didn't know how to do that, and I didn't think I was going to be here to help her with it. I was recording little messages to my son's goodbye sort of messages. And I finally did something on the 17th day I've never done before. I went on my Facebook page, a personal Facebook page, and made a prayer request. That request got shared 149 times immediately, had over 800 likes and over 600 prayers posted. And let me tell you, things changed very quickly. 2 hours after posting that message, I got a text from a lady I just really barely know. She's from Florida. I live in Texas. I was invited onto her podcast several years ago. She interviewed me, and we sort of became acquaintances through that. And she texted me. She'd seen the prayer request, and she texted me and said, I want you to know that I prayed for you, and God said he's going to be sending some powerful angels to help with your immune system. You know, what do you say to that? I mean, I immediately responded with, thank you for your prayer. And if God wants to send angels to help me in any way, I welcome them with laughter and excitement. And I thought about that on and off all through the day. I was at the point I was on level 5 oxygen at home. I'd gone to the emergency room, but there were no hospital beds at the time. They sent me home with oxygen. I was at the highest level you could have at home. I was struggling to breathe. I couldn't complete a sentence. I would start a sentence and lose my breath. My wife would tell me to take a breath and just give a few words to tell her what I wanted or needed. And it was a struggle. If I walked 3 steps, I was out of breath. I wore oxygen everywhere. A long cord followed me through the house, even into the shower when I finally felt strong enough to try to take the shower. It was hard. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I've always been full of energy. I walk an hour a day. I'm very active in woodwork and hobbies and work around the yard and the house. And so I went from being very active and walking 30 minutes twice a day, morning and night, to sitting in a chair for 3 weeks. And it was bad. you start to think about things like, I'm about to meet Jesus. I'm going to step through the threshold into the next world. I'll see Dad again. But you also think, I won't see my grandkids anymore. I won't see my sons and daughter-in-laws anymore. It's hard to describe. You have to live it. Walking through the valley of the shadow of death is eye-opening. Uh, it's it's sobering in a way that can't be described. It can only be experienced. So as I think back now, that valley of the shadow of death every day for David was battle after battle he went through, wondering if he was going to live through the next one. And of course, he was victorious all the way through. And God can help us be victorious too. Or when it's our time to go, we're going to go. You know, the death rate's 100%. No one gets out of this thing alive unless they're alive when Jesus returns. So that was my mindset. And all day, on and off, I would think about this message from my friend in Florida. Angels are going to be sent, and they'll help your immune system. And I was at this point sleeping in a lazy boy in our living room at an angle so I could breathe a little better. My wife was so worried about me, she slept on the couch right beside me and just woke up every few minutes and checked on me if I coughed or sneezed or moved, made any noise at all. She was, bounded up and was checking on me. I've never been so well taken care of. And about 10 o'clock, I was starting to doze off. I was getting comfortable and trying to steady my breathing and trying to relax my lungs. And, the anxiety kind of comes with not being able to breathe very good. But I was about to go to sleep. And, in that moment when you're almost asleep, but not quite asleep, if you know what I mean, um, I felt like something changed, something shifted in my reality, sort of. It felt like I was floating. I thought, well, I feel like I'm level up in the air. I'm not sitting at an angle in the chair. I can't feel the chair anymore. I feel like I'm floating in the air. And you know, I wondered if, angels were involved. Just that passed through my mind. And then the bottom of my feet, I felt a warmth. And as I focused on that warmth, it slowly moved up my ankle and up my calf and up my legs, up my whole body. I felt that warmth just kind of whoosh through my whole body. And as I sat there experiencing that, all of a sudden I thought, and by the way, she had two verses with this when she sent it to me. She sent a verse that said, when God sends these angels that help with your immune system, your bones will glow. And there's a verse that says that. I'm going to send you healing and your bones will glow. I never saw that verse before. And then she also said, you need to welcome these angels with laughter. And, so I thought about that as I was dozing off and then felt this floating and then this warmth come up my body. And I thought, I wonder if my bones are glowing. And it made me laugh. I laughed out loud. And then all of a sudden, I was back to normal. I could feel the chair underneath me. And, I'm still on oxygen and everything, but something felt better about that. There was some relief in that. But I went ahead and dozed off, went to sleep. I woke up the next morning at 6 a.m. And as I woke, I realized I felt better. And I moved a little to see if that would make me feel better. And no, I still felt better. And then I sat up and I felt better. And I popped a little leg lift on the chair so I could sit up better. And I felt so good. I said, Mary Lynn, wake up. She said, what is it? What is it? And I said, I feel good for the first time in 18 days. I am hungry for sausage and eggs. And she said, okay, great. But I don't cook till 7 a.m. Wake me up in an hour. She'd been up all night checking on me, and I laughed and we both went back to sleep. And in an hour, I woke up at 7 again. And I said, I still want sausage and eggs. And she cooked me sausage and eggs. And I want you to know that was the best meal I thought I'd ever eaten up to that point in my life. It was delicious. My taste buds were enhanced. I only lost my taste and smell for a couple of days. But after coming through that, my taste buds were enhanced. Everything I ate just tasted fantastic. And within 48 hours, I was off oxygen completely. And I was gaining strength and gaining weight. And I just want you to know, Satan could not stop what God had planned to do. He had planned for this Battle Plan podcast to be an encouragement to people, and I hope it is to you. And Satan couldn't stop what God had planned. I'm honored to have you listen in. I look so forward to sharing more and more exciting stories about what God is doing. Please share these encouraging messages with a few friends. Thank you for doing that. So, in light of today's lesson and story, let me suggest that part of your personal battle plan might be to let prayer and prayer requests be your first response instead of your last resort. The prayer of a righteous man does availeth much. If you want to make a tax-deductible donation to bless this ministry, you can visit active-faith.org. Thank you for helping us keep this podcast going. See you next time on Battle Plan, where we're going to be talking about singing Mimi to heaven. My mother was Mimi. Thank you. See you next time. Looking forward to it. Keep praying because prayer works. God loves you and I love you. Have a great day.